Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be taking you on vacation with me for a trip I went back in December 2023. And the places were Rome, Florence, Venice, and London. Please do bear with me as the camera work is a little bit shaky. This was my first time using this camera and I clearly did not understand that it would come out like this. But anyways, enough of me chit-chatting, let's get started. Here we are on a long-haul flight from Tokyo to Amsterdam and then to Rome. And my gosh, that flight was quite horrific, but once we landed, everything looked like straight out of a postcard. So I was very, very happy, completely forgot about the flight, and surprisingly was not jet lag. And the first destination we headed to was the Vatican. I've only ever seen the Vatican in movies, so this was my first time there and the weather was fantastic, so it was a really good first impression. We had tickets to go to the Vatican Museum, so this is where we are right now. What I found interesting is that if there were statues or busts that were not on display and there was an empty space in where it usually is, they would leave a little note on what exhibition the artifact was being loaned to at the moment. The artworks you'll see on display at the Vatican museums is a collection amassed by the popes and Catholic Church over centuries. The whole place was absolutely breathtaking, and it wasn't just the objects and the art that you were looking at, but the architecture, the whole atmosphere of the spaces you'd walk into was amazing. I mean, look at these mosaic floors. In the future, if I do get the opportunity to go to Rome again, I think I would like to allocate 2 full days for the Vatican museums because there's just so much to see, and this particular time I was so overstimulated. I can't quite recall in detail everything that I saw, so I think if I have at least 2 days, maybe I'd remember specifics a little better. I've put together a quick montage of all the beautiful walls they had. Here we go. After the Vatican museums, we went over to visit St. Peter's Basilica. And as you can see in this footage of how small the people are, it was an immaculate, massive, incredible building. And over here is where they have the marble sculpture Pietà by Michelangelo. Don't come after me about the pronunciations there. It was kind of sad to see it behind glass because in the 1970s it was vandalized by a tourist. So most things in Italy that I saw that were incredible were all kind of out and exposed so you could look at it directly with your naked eye, but for the Pietà they put it behind the glass. Out of all the walking we did in Rome, my favorite walking course was from the Colosseum to Termini train station. That was a nice walk. It was like walking in a storybook, really. That quick clip you saw of the Colosseum is actually the only clip of the Colosseum that I had because we had a pickpocket scare, so I was in no mood to take my camera out and film what was going on inside. However, I do have footage of the Roman Forum, which is adjacent to the Colosseum, and that was a really beautiful place. Not everywhere we visited is included in this video, like the piazzas and the Pantheon, but I would like to move on to our next destination. Oh my gosh, you guys, I get so excited looking back at the footage of Florence in particular because I think this city is my favorite city in the whole world. I think a lot of the design and even the stuff that they sold, like the stationery, was very much my style, and I would love to go back again in the summer because it was a little bit cold this time of year. Of course, we visited the Uffizi galleries while in Florence, and we got to see some Botticelli, Caravaggio, Da Vinci, all the great works, and the actual museum itself was, like the Vatican museums, amazing. And then we went on to visit Ponte Vecchio, which is the only bridge in Florence that survived World War II. And on the bridge you can see a whole line of beautiful jewelry shops, and I made a compilation, so I hope you enjoy. It was definitely not within my budget at the time to be buying jewelry, but I think next time I would like to mentally prepare to perhaps buy something because I really like the choices they've had. I find them all to be very unique. There's a lot of colors in the jewelry. It's kind of chunky metals, which I prefer. In fact, as I'm recording this voiceover, I'm wearing a pendant from Ponte Vecchio that my mother got in her 20s. And when I do go back and I do have the budget to buy something, I think it would be definitely a very worthwhile investment or souvenir because I'll be able to keep it forever. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you would know that I am a china collector, so I love teacups, plates, anything porcelain really. And I had the great pleasure of going through an antique market here in Florence, and I got some footage, so hope you enjoy. You know, as I'm editing this video, I am noticing all these amazing things in this footage of things I really should have bought. I'm in envy of my past self, and I'm almost a little upset with my past self that I didn't buy some of these things. But then I thought about it and I was like, wait a second, this was before I was going to London, so I definitely had a lot of my hopes and dreams locked onto London. A lot of the things I was looking at in Italy were just eye candy. Although I am guilty, I did end up buying 3 items, which I will show you at the end of this little clip of the markets. The good news was, though, that at this point I had been collecting for a couple of years, so I was pretty narrowed down on targeting specific things that I wanted to take home with me. However, it was still very much a battle to try and not buy things, particularly with bird motifs, because I love birds. I ended up buying 3 cups from the same vendor. Look at these. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. 2 of them are Italian and the one with the strawberry is Hungarian. I do hope to make a cup collection video at one point on YouTube, so stay tuned for that one. And then we had a little coffee break at Gilly. We were in Florence during the Christmas season, and the commercial aspect of that holiday would demand that people shop. So I walked into this store over here, and the people inside were so kind, and they showed me that they actually are able to customize a whole china set, or whole dinner set for your family. So if you have a family crest or a monogram you want to use, you can custom order from all kinds of choices at this store. I also popped into the Richard Ginori flagship store, but I'm saving that footage for a different video I'll be making solely focused on porcelain china. All in all, it was a very dreamy time in Florence, and I have to say that the accommodation definitely contributed to the charm that I felt while there, so let me show you. So you walk directly into the first space, which is a bedroom, and I mean, just look at it. Just look at it. The floors are beautiful. There is a kitchen in the middle with a dining table with a beautiful window across from it. Look at that view. Amazing. And then right next to it is the second bedroom with a desk and once again a beautiful window with these beautiful lace curtains. And as I pan over, you can see that they have these painted ceilings. And over on the end of this bedroom is where they have their laundry machine as well as the bathroom. Alright guys, now we're wrapping up in Florence and we're moving on to our next destination. Like with the Vatican, Venice was also a place I've only ever seen in the movies, and what I found funny being there was because I had seen it so often, when I did actually see it in person, it felt familiar, which is very strange since I've never been before. We actually never went on a gondola, and this is being filmed on a water taxi that we were taking between the train station and the hotel accommodation. And this was a great budget-friendly way to enjoy the waters, and it was all the better that the seats in the front were open because initially when I got on it was raining. So I was sitting out there by myself in the rain, trying to cover my suitcase, all in the name of trying to sit in the front. And the wind was really cold on the face, but the rain stopped, and so we have this wonderful footage from the front. I had heard that the water levels have risen in Venice, and so during the daytime you can see that the waters are rising, and eventually they'll start pulling out these tables or walkways that you can walk on. They're like little runways that they make in this space so you can still enjoy it but not have to get wet. Yeah, you can see. So they sort of dictate which areas you can go to, which is kind of sad from a perspective of if you want to get a closer look at something, but all in all the flood was limited to the Piazza San Marco area, so I wouldn't go so far as to bring rain boots in your luggage, but just something to consider. Once again, you can see the people in this footage and just the sheer scale of all these buildings. This is probably the only restaurant I filmed throughout the trip, but I wanted to show you guys because, I mean, look at their logo. It's so cute. It's in Venice. The interiors of the place is also just as adorable as their logo. And the reason why I had to film it is because they had their own custom Richard Ginori plates in the restaurant. I wish this was purchasable. But yeah, so this is all the stuff that we ordered. It was delicious. We also went into the iconic Florian Cafe, and I had, I believe, my 4th affogato during the trip. Yep, it was a beautiful cafe, and these cups are also purchasable. I did not know that Italy had such beautiful hardware, and this is me at a shop. And I also made a compilation of all the beautiful doors that I saw throughout my trip through Italy, so I hope you enjoy. And that takes us to the end of the Venice chapter of this trip, so let's move on to our next destination. We are in Harry Potter land.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
And it was really funny because our Airbnb was actually across from the Broadway show of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Look at this red double-decker bus that's going to Hammersmith, like the Hammersmith ghost. And I was in front of Fortnum & Mason. Everything I was dreaming about in London, they served within the first day. Fortnum & Mason was on my life bucket list. I had to go at least once in my life, and it was beautiful. It was everything I dreamed of, it was everything I saw in all the YouTube videos I watched. I will be including most of the footage related to porcelain in that other video I said I was going to make, but I wanted to show you guys nonetheless of what cute stuff Fortnum & Mason sells. Look at this pouch. Look at these ornaments. They are so cute, and they have, oh, look at this. So pretty. Oh, and they have these ornaments that are in the shape of their little tea cans. Adorable. And these are really tiny silver-plated cheese markers. Of course, a trip to Fortnum & Mason is incomplete without looking at their teas and cookies. This is how my basket was looking like. We also went to Covent Garden, which had a place called Apple Market. And in Apple Market, they sold some antiques and collectibles. And of course, London does not disappoint. Look at this adorable Nautilus spoon thingamajig. Beautiful. I am a sucker for trios, so that's when they have the cup, the saucer, and the matching plate. That is how I prefer to collect my things. Initially, I used to only collect the cup and the saucer, but I went to a thrift store one time in Sydney, and they were selling a trio, and they were selling it separately, but the lady asked me why I wasn't getting the plate, and I was like, well, I actually don't know why I'm not getting the plate because it's really cute and it's like a full set, so why not? So that is how I got started in collecting trios. I think buying cutlery as souvenirs from London is a great idea because it doesn't break in your suitcase, it's quite lightweight, it's not that expensive, and you can use it forever. And you'll always cherish the memories you had on your trip when you're eating something at home, or even if you have a guest over, you can talk to them about like, oh, this thing I got in London, blah, blah, blah. I did wish I had one of those 360-degree cameras because sometimes I'll stand in the corner of whatever street and look around and just be so impressed by how different angles from the same corner of the street look really different. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I had the great pleasure of catching up with a best friend from high school who now lived in London, and she had the same dog from when we were in high school. So I also got to meet the dog, and that was fantastic. It was so nice and nostalgic. After soaking up all the amazing, beautiful things they have in the museums, we are headed to my next lifetime bucket list, which is the Liberty department store. The Liberty department store, I think people recognize from the Cruella movies done by Disney recently with Emma Stone. I was just elated to finally be inside and looking at all these beautiful, gorgeous, just things, everything. Except maybe some of the things were a little bit outside my budget, like this beautiful pillowcase that I would have bought had it been just a little bit cheaper, but I don't have 136 pounds to spare on a pillow. So we're just gonna window shop today. Speaking of staying on budget, my favorite place where I bought the most stuff from was TK Maxx. Yes, that is correct, TK Maxx. I love Emma Bridgewater, but her stuff tends to be quite expensive in Liberty and Fortnum and Mason, for an example, but they sold that at TK, and they also sold Spode at TK. I did not see any of the Emma Bridgewater mugs at the TK Maxx, but perhaps maybe sometimes they do get it in stock. And do keep in mind that TK Maxx does vary depending on the store, and the stock is kind of like it comes and goes. So once you kind of miss your opportunity, it's not always there. But I thought their Christmas ornament selections were pretty good. And over in their stationery section, I found the cutest Emma Bridgewater planter. No, it's a planner with geraniums on it. And yes, I did end up buying this. And look at the inside, it's so pretty. We also went to Notting Hill, and more specifically Portobello Road Markets, but the footage from there will be included in that other porcelain china video I'll be making. All in all, my impression of London was there was a lot more hustle and bustle. There were a lot of activities, a lot of things to do. This particular time we were there for 5 days, but I think maybe next time, a week, maybe even 2 weeks would be good. Alright guys, that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe so I know to make more of these, and I'll see you in my next one.